So what I'm doing here is I'm cleaning up these grounds. So this is the main ground from the battery. I had to lift up this windshield washer fluid reservoir to disconnect everything to it, everything except for that. I just left that attached and raised it up, supported it with this little rag right here so it won't collapse back down on me. And I am cleaning up these connections right here. Just a 10mm bolt holding those down. You can see there, I don't know how well you can see it. Let me see. You can see there. Hold on. There we go. You see there that could be cleaned up a bit. It might have made good, ground, good connection, but nothing is better for a connection than a clean connection. So I'm gonna go ahead and sand that down, clean that up, put a new screw with a wider washer type head and secure that down. Also the main one right there, that's the main one. These are just grounds from different components or electrical connections to grounds to some other, I don't know, parts of the car, circuits. That right there is a primary one though from the battery. So I stand corrected if I said otherwise when I started the video. That is the primary connection right there. That is a slightly larger bolt than a 10mm. It might be a 12 or a 13. I don't know because I haven't tried to take it off yet, but I'm going to clean that. That runs from the battery right there. That's the primary cable. That runs to there. And like I said, these are other circuits that are grounded. So I'm going to clean that up too. You never know what those run to and what that might help. Any kind of flickering or dimming or anything that just acts kind of funny. Oftentimes we go to the fuse box over there. But in this case, and from what I've learned with the fuel pumps, it can also be bad ground connections. So this is the process of me cleaning up the ground connections on the car, in the engine compartment, in the trunk, any part of the car that might need that refreshed. Okay, there you go. So again, I'm using that same type of bit right there on my little Dremel tool here. Put it on a higher setting so you get those RPMs, get that speed, right? Go ahead and sand that thing down. So this is what it looks like after I sanded it. You see that? See how nice and shiny that is? You got to break up that corrosion and that rust that's on there so that you have a clean connection. So that's what I am doing. That's what I have done for the actual ground in the chassis or on the body. And so now I'm gonna do the same thing to each of those little connections right there, each of those grounding wires. I'm gonna go ahead and clean up those little eyelets right there. Okay, and then when I'm done, I'll put a nice clean larger washer on there, a new bolt, and I'll tighten that thing down. That'll be done. Then that one. So you see there, see how nice and shiny those are now? Yep. And one of those had a lot of rust on them. I peeped that when I flipped it over. The underside had a lot of rust on it. So, you know, it helps to be able to identify these things before either they become a problem, or if you have a problem and then these fixes it, this little thing here remedies the issue. That's pretty nice. You know, see, it's better to catch these things though before they become a problem. There goes the one that had rust on the underside. So all that got cleaned up. All right, so make it nice and shiny, man. Nice and shiny, nice and shiny. All right, so here goes the primary ground coming off the battery. You see here that there is rust around the contact area. Let's see if I can get in there and see that. You see there that there's rust around there. So it had a clean contact, but not much of a contact. All right, so that needs to be cleaned up. And again, I'll put a bigger washer. I mean, you have a pretty decent size or a decent gauge wire there. It looks probably about like a, well, just look at the battery. This wire right here looks about like a, what would you say, a 4 gauge wire? Maybe, that's not a 2 gauge, maybe a 4 gauge ground wire. But if you have minimal contact though, right there at the point where it's screwed into the metal of the car, which grounds the whole car, are you really getting all 4 gauge conductivity. So you need to clean that up. It does have a bolt that should also, once it's threaded in, if it's coated, it should break some of that off and make good contact, just as the bolt is threaded into the car itself. That should make decent contact as well. But you want as much contact as possible. So even though this might not have been a problem, you just never know. So let's just clean that up as well. Also, that is a 13 millimeter bolt that is keeping this main ground wire attached to the car. That's a 13 millimeter bolt. So I'm going to clean that up just as I did that one. I'll do the same thing there so that that eyelet makes as much contact as possible. All right, cool beans. I'll be back in touch. And there you go. So I cleaned that up very nicely. Okay. There you go. You can see the shine right there. There you go. Cleaned up very nicely. Also, I cleaned this up nicely as well. I don't know if I can catch the shine on that. Let me see. But the underside of that is cleaned up as well. You see that shine? The underside and the top side. So I'm going to go ahead and put this on here with a new washer. Nice and shiny and clean. And my ground over here, both grounds, are good to go. So those won't be an issue. Now, someone did make a point to me that I could use this contact grease, I guess electrode grease of some sort, to help with the corrosion. I mean, this is, again, a 1989. So it worked fine for how many years now? It's 2021. So I think we're okay. I mean, I think 32 years of existence, I guess, since its original production. Something like this is expected. Not necessarily do I need to put grease on there. I think it'll be fine for quite a while, for another, couple decades more, as long as the engine keeps running, transmission keeps running. Simple things like this, man, just happen over time. It's metal. It is what it is, especially if it was kept outside. And obviously this car was not kept indoors. It was not garage kept. So things like this happen, and I think I'm okay. But that is a good suggestion, though. Definitely anything that's exposed to the elements, you put that electrode grease on there. I think that will help. But I think I'm okay here. Let's keep it simple. Good to go. All right. Perfect. I think it's time to clean up this engine a little bit. So I sprayed some degreaser right here on this intake cover because it is smacked through, ugly, dirty, grimy, oily, disgusting, filthy. Did I say that? Okay, here we go. Gooey, ooey, nasty. Whatever, I can't come up with anything else. All right, I mean, at least let me have this clean. When somebody looks at my engine compartment, I mean, I have a lot of work to do. It's real dirty, dusty, oily. Yeah, no. Dirty. But at least let me have this nice and shiny, because I see other people's videos and this sure looks good. Also, this right here, that's a common issue. That heat deterrent padding or whatever, foam stuff eventually breaks down and becomes brittle. Just like, looks like when in Avengers, Infinity War, the end game, when everybody starts turning into dust particles. That's what this stuff looks like. Yeah. Yep. Look like Thanos. Yep. So that has to go. So, I mean, that's simple. I mean, I could just see myself just scraping that stuff off, covering over this engine compartment with a sheet or something, and covering it all up and just scraping all that stuff off. I mean, I think that's the first thing that I should do. There's nothing that you can save up here. And then you can come up with your own type. They have some type that with an adhesive back you can just lay across. You can layer it up, or you can just keep it clean. I don't know. But once you get this thing painted and nice, I mean, in my case, I'm going to repaint mine. I guess you got to have some kind of barrier protection to absorb that heat, I guess, so it doesn't damage the paint prematurely. I don't know, man. It takes a long time to do. It takes years. I don't know. Should I just clean it up and leave it bare, or should I put some type of thermal protection layering up under there? I don't know. Is it that serious? If it's going to be out in the sun, this is in Cincinnati, Ohio. It doesn't get that hot. You have a couple of 90-degree, days, but It's not like Florida or California where it's hot when it's hot. You know what I mean? Is California hot? I know Florida is. I thought Cali had like a dry heat. I don't know. Anyways, just something to consider. I'll figure that part out later. But I did spray some of this purple power degreaser stuff on here. Let it soak and break down the crap. And then I'll wipe it up clean. Alrighty. Look at that. Look at that. Yeah, purple power is the truth. That's what they have here locally. I'm sure you can get that probably wherever you are. Purple power. Good stuff. The thing about purple power you have to be careful of, though. If you get it on plastic, it will dry that stuff out. It is a degreaser. And plastics naturally have an oil to it. So when you spray degreaser on something plastic, especially black, it gets ashy. Oh, it gets gray and ashy. So you might want to be careful. Now, engine compartment, I'm not sure how much stuff in here is susceptible. There is a lot of plastic. But if it gets it on there, you know, if you spray it on there, wipe it off quick. Just don't let it soak. You can do that on metal and some other, materials. But anything that's absorbent or that you don't want to start, you know, look grayish or white or ashy, make sure that you don't leave it on there too long. These plastics right here, you can spray on, wipe off. But don't leave it on there too long or it will cause what I'm talking about. It will dry it out. All right, so that looks pretty good, man. Looks pretty good. All I did was spray it on there, let it soak for about a minute or two, and then wipe it off. All right. So that's a little bit more presentable, you know? It's an old car, but it doesn't have to look nasty on the inside. So that's just that, you know what I mean? The intake cover. But all this right here, what do you guys use to clean your engine bay up? It's just naturally dusty. You know, that stuff, you know, it can look good, pretty easy. Some people use WD-40. Well, I know there's better stuff because some, I guess, WD-40 you have to be careful. I think it disperses water or something like that, but it can also be, I think, conductive. So it can short some stuff out if you're not careful with it. Correct me if I'm wrong. I used to use WD-40 on everything. It makes it look good when you're about to sell a car, but long term, that might not be the best thing for your engine compartment. And it might even be flammable. I don't know. I know it smokes when it gets hot. Just be careful. Give me some suggestions. What do you think is a good way to clean up my engine compartment? All right. Thanks for watching. Peace out.